President Trump threatened more strikes on Iran. A cruise ship struck by the deadly hantavirus is headed for Spain. And I'll tell you which brain supplements may actually be worth your money. That's some of what we'll get to on The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Thursday, May 7th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. President Donald Trump said that if Iran did not agree to his latest peace plan, U.S. bombing would resume at what he called a much higher level. The two countries have been in a temporary ceasefire since last month, though there have been strikes during that time, including this week. In recent days, Iran and the U.S. have been exchanging documents through a mediator, and Trump said that Iran had already accepted parts of the latest U.S. proposal. Trump sounded optimistic talking to reporters in the Oval Office yesterday.
They want to make a deal. We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal.
But the two sides aren't saying the same thing about what has been agreed so far. Tehran has previously rejected U.S. claims that it had agreed to concessions on its nuclear program. The Strait of Hormuz is another sticking point. Trump briefly launched an operation this week for the U.S. to guide ships through the strait. That led to new attacks in the waterway, and Trump stopped the plan. A court released a purported suicide note from Jeffrey Epstein. That's number 2. For years, a note said to have been written by the late sex offender weeks before his death in 2019 has been kept under court seal. A former cellmate of Epstein said he discovered it in July 2019 after he was found unresponsive in his cell. Epstein survived that incident, but then was found dead in his cell weeks later. Last night, a federal judge ordered the release of the note. The note says, "They investigated me for months." Then, in capitals, it says that investigators found nothing. The existence of the note was first reported by the New York Times last week. No court or investigative agency has vouched for its authenticity. Number 3. Democrats are increasingly optimistic about retaking the Senate in the midterm elections. At the start of President Trump's second term, taking control of the Senate was an aspiration that appeared all but out of reach for Democrats. But party leaders told the Post that Trump's crumbling approval ratings and the Iran war's weight on the economy have given them fresh hope. Democrats have little room for error. They need to win races in at least 5 states that Trump carried in 2024 to recapture the Senate. Republican super PACs, meanwhile, have built an enormous financial advantage over Democrats to help defend their Senate majority. Republicans say they are confident they will hold the majority or even pick up seats. Number 4. Global authorities are scrambling to contain an outbreak of hantavirus. 140 people remain on board a cruise ship in the Atlantic that has been struck by a hantavirus outbreak. 3 passengers have died. Yesterday, 3 more people were evacuated, and Swiss health authorities confirmed another case in Zurich in a passenger who had already left the ship. That brings the total number of suspected or confirmed cases linked to the outbreak to 8. The ship is headed for Spain's Canary Islands for screening, despite local opposition. Hantavirus is normally linked to exposure to infected rodents' urine or feces. But officials believe this strain may have spread between people on board. Maria Van Kerkhove is the WHO's Director of Epidemic and Pandemic Preparedness and Prevention. She spoke about the outbreak on Tuesday.
The initial patient, the initial case, and his wife, they joined the boat in Argentina. And with the timing of the incubation period of hantavirus, which can be anywhere from 1 to 6 weeks, our assumption is that they were infected off the ship, perhaps doing some activities there.
Passengers still on the ship have reported that the atmosphere on board is better than you might expect. They are social distancing and wearing masks. The cable TV visionary Ted Turner has died. That's number 5. In 1980, Turner launched the first 24-hour news network, CNN, dedicating it to the American people and the cable industry.
To provide information to people when it wasn't available before. To offer those who want it a choice. For the American people whose thirst for understanding and a better life has made this venture possible.
That audio comes from CNN's YouTube channel. CNN was initially laughed off as the chicken noodle network because of its low-budget look and its headquarters in the non-media capital of Atlanta. But gradually, CNN upended the way news was consumed, riveting audiences by covering historic events as they unfolded. Those included the demolition of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the O.J. Simpson murder trial in 1995. Turner's much-publicized personality made him one of the most captivating public figures of his generation. His death yesterday was confirmed by a spokesman for Turner Enterprises. He was 87 years old. The coming El Nino could be the strongest in over a century. That's number 6. An El Nino climate pattern is driven by warming sea temperatures in parts of the Pacific Ocean. New data released this week shows that an El Nino that's expected to form soon could be one of the most powerful such events on record. That could drive global temperatures to new highs and shift patterns of droughts, floods, heat, humidity, and sea ice across the planet. In the U.S., it could mean big storms along the West Coast and the drought-stricken South. One climate scientist explained to the Post that El Nino climate patterns are also correlated with food shortages, water impacts, and even civil conflict in tropical countries. The phenomenon could fully form by July. And at number 7, a longevity expert told us what supplements he takes to protect his brain. Brain supplements are booming as an industry. Americans spend billions of dollars every year chasing the idea of a sharper mind, one pill at a time. But the problem is, there's not a lot of oversight or scientific proof for the effectiveness of many nutritional supplements. So we asked Gary Small, a psychiatry professor and former director of the UCLA Longevity Center, what he takes for his own 74-year-old brain. The answer is curcumin. That's one of the active compounds in turmeric. There's some evidence for its anti-inflammatory properties that may help protect the brain against proteins associated with neurodegeneration. He also takes a multivitamin and coenzyme Q10. That's a compound that helps cells produce energy and helps protect them from damage. But he's less convinced that those are good for the brain specifically. He doesn't take vitamin D, B12, omega-3, or a host of other popular supplements, mainly because he says he gets enough from his food and lifestyle. So it's good news for turmeric lovers, and even if it doesn't do anything, at least it's delicious. All right, you're all caught up. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or another podcast platform, we would be eternally grateful if you left us a nice rating or review. It helps other people find the show, and even more importantly, it gives us a warm, fuzzy feeling. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.